Today, we are asking ChatGPT for financial advice. We're going to be going through and figuring out the 5 best investments, but we're going to put a little bit of a spin on it. We're going to be figuring out some names that trade on the Toronto Stock Exchange so that you can research and put them into your portfolio. But if this is your first time here, my name's Nick and welcome to Ways to Wealth. We are all familiar with the new craze behind ChatGPT, and I figured what would be a good way that I could put this to use. That's why I turned to asking it for financial advice. And some of the things that I had decided to question it is, what are the top 5 things to invest in? Now, when I got the answer of this question, we'll go through it a little bit. It wasn't the best answer, and this is in my opinion, but some of the things that were listed were stocks, obviously good. Then we had bonds. If you have a long time to invest in, for me personally, I don't have any bonds in my portfolio. The third thing, real estate. Fourth, mutual funds. I prefer ETFs over mutual funds because they happen to have a lower expense ratio. They cost less to hold. And then cryptocurrency. My personal opinion on crypto is not invested currently right now. I could see the game plan for it over the long run, but right now doesn't make sense for me. So I decided to drill down a little bit deeper, and I said, I'm investing over a longer period. I need to know what the 5 best investments are for the next 10 years. And this is where this list gets a little bit more interesting. So of course, being an AI tool, it does state that it cannot provide financial advice or predict the future. However, here's some general investment options. And the first one is technology stocks. And technology is a rapidly growing industry. Investing in established tech or up-and-coming startups can provide high returns over the long run. So what I decided to do is figure out some names that I could provide to you so that you could do your own research to see which ones will fit into your portfolio. And the best way to hold these are in ETFs because you're diversifying your holding over a various number of companies and you're taking away the risk of holding just one. So what is the first one? Well, that is the NASDAQ 100. These are some of the top growing tech companies listed on the NASDAQ exchange in the US, but ZNQ.to provides you a way to play this on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Now, this is traded in Canadian dollars, and if we look at the performance over the past year, tech stocks are doing really well. We can also go into the Yahoo Finance to show some holdings, and the holdings consist of Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, Nvidia, etc. These are consistent companies that are making a profit today, not too much on the up and coming side. So really a higher risk, but not as risky as some. Some other names for you to take a look at in this sector, TEC.to, it's a TD product. And then there is ZWT.to. So check those other two out, see which works best for you. The second best investment over the next 10 years is renewable energy. And we can read here that as the world continues to shift towards cleaner, more sustainable energy sources, investing in renewable energy companies can provide strong returns. And when we look at it from a macroeconomic standard, we have governments that are investing money, companies that are investing money. There is a ton of money going into this sector. And the most important question is, how can I play this? Well, let's check out this next ticker, which is ZCLN. And this is trading on the Toronto Stock Exchange. It's the BMO Clean Energy Index. And when we look at the performance over the past year, it is pretty flat. But again, I asked ChatGPT what is going to perform well over the next 10 years. And obviously, we are just starting the shift towards a cleaner energy. So this is one that could be a potential good opportunity to buy into. Now, what does it hold? We're going to jump over to the holdings section here. And we can see that there's some solar companies in here, a company called Enphase Energy, wind systems. So take a look at this one. There's also Plug Power, which is very good for charging cars. If you want to check out some different products in this space, there's one called HCLN.to and then ICLN.to. So different providers with relatively similar names. And the third best investment over the next 10 years is healthcare. People are getting older. continuing to age and needing medication in order to stay alive. And some ways that we can add this into our portfolio can be found in an iShares product, xhc.to. This is one that I personally hold in my own fund. If we look at the performance, it has been pretty rocky over the past year. Even taking a look back in the past 5 years, this is one that does well over time. If we want to take a look at some of the holdings, we can come down here and see that it holds a US fund, IXJ. We're going to go and take a look at IXJ just to show you what an indication of the holdings that are located in this ETF. And what we can see here is some of the formidable players in this area: United Health, J&J, Eli Lilly, Merck, Novo Nordisk, etc. So this is a very solid ETF with a lot of manufacturers that have consistent revenues and are going to be expected to grow over the next 10 years. There are some other products in this space as well. BMO has a product, ZUH.to. And there's another one that I like to play, HHL.to. And this is one that uses covered calls, so you get a better dividend or a better yield on that. So check those ones out, see what ones work best for you. The fourth best way to invest over the next 10 years is in real estate. And it can be a solid long-term investment. They're not making any more land. So let's take a look at some ways that we can play this in our portfolio. So we jump over to Yahoo Finance and we take a look at BMO's equal weight REIT, and it's ZRE.to on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And when we look at the performance over the past year, it hasn't done all too well, but maybe a good opportunity to start adding it in, especially if you have a longer mindset, 10, 15, 20 years. Even if we take a look at the past 5 years, not all the best, but it does happen to pay you in the short run with almost a 5% dividend yield. Let's take a look under the hood and see what's in the ETF. We have some industrial companies, we have some property investment companies, we have Choice, which does the grocery box stores, and then Canadian Apartment REIT, which is housing. So you get coverage over various different areas of real estate. And some of the other ways that you can play this is an iShares product, XRE.to, and then there's HCRE.to. So check those ones out as well, see which works best again for you. And the last but not least, best investment over the next 10 years is index funds. Now, index funds can provide a diversified exposure to the stock market, which historically has provided strong returns over the long run. By investing in a low-cost index fund, you could potentially benefit from the overall growth of the stock market and really the economy. So my favorite way to play this, and one of my best holdings, is the S&P 500. Now, if you're not familiar with the S&P 500, we've covered it a multitude of different times. The top 500 companies in America, all held in one fund. So basically what you're doing is you're betting on North America at that point. And when they talk about a low cost, the MER is essentially nil. It is super low on this fund. It's not going to cost you to hold it. And when you take a look at some of these hedge fund managers, what their benchmark is their performance to the S&P 500. A majority of them do not even hit it. So why try and beat the market when you can own exactly what the market's doing? This fund over the past year has probably been on an upward slant. We've talked about many things going on in the economy before, but again, we need to look at it from a larger perspective, and we can see over the long run, the economy is there. And what Warren Buffett said is, don't bet against the US. This is a true testament of what's going on there. So again, under the holdings, just to show you what's going on there, they hold VOO, and VOO is the one that's traded in the US. This is VFE on the Toronto Stock Exchange. And the holdings are going to be all the brands that you're familiar with: Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, Nvidia, Alphabet, etc. The list goes on. These are all Fortune 500, if not Fortune 250 companies that will definitely provide over the long run, especially if we're looking at a longer time frame. We're not buying and selling tomorrow. We're buying and holding and basically adding on to these as they continue to grow. There's a few different ways that you can play this. If you like Canada, xiu.to is the top 60 companies on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Take a look at that one, see if that one fits your portfolio. Again, this is using AI and a little bit of ingenuity to help build your portfolio over the long run. So if you like this video, if you like this type of content, we cover the top ETFs on the Toronto Stock Exchange by industry, by sector. So make sure to check out some of these videos that I've listed here and check out the playlist for more. I hope you all have a great week in the markets. Happy trading.